30-day rental agreements. I mean, if someone comes in and pays the full market rent for the 30 days and indicates that he or she would like to have exclusive right of occupancy, that that's okay. In fact, there's a declaratory ruling from DPP that indicates that that's legal. What we're looking at are the sham 30-day agreements where the owner or operator of the short-term rental, in order to try to avoid regulation of that would be applicable to a property that's being rented for less than 30 days, executes this 30-day rental agreement. But then on the side, he has a side understanding or agreement with the renter, the vacationer, that just signed this 30-day rental agreement, but you're not supposed to stay the full 30 days. You stay only for the period of time that we agree upon, say a week or a few days or whatever that period is. And if you want to stay longer, then you're going to have to pay some additional compensation. I mean, to me, in that situation, that is an attempt. I think it's a loophole where there's an attempt to skirt the law. In fact, in a case, in a zoning board of I believe this is a Supreme Court case, Dow versus the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is the Dow versus Zoning Board of Appeals?
Is that local or
it's
federal?
Intermediate Court of Appeals of Hawaii. It was a case involving an operator who was entering into these 30-day rental agreements with different renters, where in actuality on the side there was an intent and understanding. That the renter was going to be there for less than 30 days. And so the DPP director found that operator to be in violation, and the Intermediate Court of Appeals upheld the director's decision. And this is what the court says. It says, although not stated in any rules or written policies and procedures regarding transient vacation unit rentals, we conclude that in this case, the director permissibly determined that notwithstanding the existence of written rental agreements for periods of 30 days or more days, based on the parties' actual intent, understanding, agreement, and undertaking, Dow had in fact provided a dwelling unit or lodging unit to transient occupants for less than 30 days. So I just want to make clear that this is existing case law, and this is the way the DPP has been interpreting it. The provisions that are included in the proposed draft that I've submitted is basically to clarify and to reaffirm what is in fact existing law. So as you...
May I ask a clarifying question, actually? Maybe we are in agreement and we don't know it. Your proposed amendments require physical occupancy by 30 days.
No, it talks about the intent and understanding, or a side agreement, where someone enters into a 30-day rental agreement, but on the side there is an agreement to limit that individual to less than 30 days, with the understanding that if that person wants to stay for longer than 30 days, then they have to pay additional consideration. So I'm just going to say that this issue has been covered by the media, and if your organization can be taking a position on proposals that I'm making with respect to the 30-day rental agreements, we better get our interpretations correct.
Absolutely.
So go back and take a look at these cases.
Yeah, and obviously as the council, you guys have the opportunity to write into law what it is that you guys elect to do, right? That is why we are here right now. There's a declaratory statement, very hard word to say, from 2014. So there's a bunch of different opinions out there, and I get it.
So take
right?
a close look at the bill.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I do believe that the way it was written, and I guess we do have to take a look again, that it requires 30-day occupancy.
Yeah.
And that is simply what we're saying, that we are looking to keep in line with the DPP and Kokua ruling and the declaratory statement of 2014, which actually says, however, the occupancy of a property is not a necessary element of real property rentals. Real property rentals are completed upon the exchange of consideration for a right to use and possession of property for agreement upon a period of time.
I've seen that. So I'm just saying, go back and carefully read the proposed amendments.
Well, if there's confusion, then I think it...
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
Chair Emeritus, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So are you asking, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but are you asking the committee if the legislation would allow one rental per 30-day period? Is that what you're asking us? Meaning a 30-day contract is signed with the intent of the visitor not to stay for the full 30 days. Say they leave after 14 days. and for the remaining time within that 30-day period, the property would not be able to be rented again. It would sit vacant. You're asking if that is permitted. Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm trying to understand, is if that would be permissible, because, again, and it could be our understanding, we're new to this, I am not a political expert. It was my understanding that, as written, the occupancy, the physical stay has to be 30 days. Whereas what we have done and suggested is that it must be exclusively blocked off for a 30-day period with no other people coming in. And very few people follow that rule, unfortunately. That's the problem.
And I believe we can ask DPP for clarification later, but my understanding from looking at your proposed legislation, Chair Emeritus, is that if there was a predetermined arrangement between the person signing the contract and the operator of the rental, that in fact the full 30 days would not be honored, again, by prior agreement, then your legislation would deem that a fraudulent contract or something of that sort. That's my understanding. Okay, well, we can talk to DPP further, but thank you very much.
30-day period.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want to tighten up, that loophole. But what you're suggesting is, and what your clients are doing, is one contract per 30-day period, correct?
That cannot overlap, that cannot be rebooked. And honestly, it's self-enforcement at this point because nobody else is enforcing it but us.
And during our meeting, you were saying that these homes are actually quite expensive homes that really wouldn't be rented out on a long-term basis anyway, correct?
That's correct. So what we believe would happen is that you actually enforced one rental per 30 days. A lot of the people who do it illegally and make a lot of money doing it repeatedly would then have to put theirs into long term, and which is where they should be. The homes that we manage they're just too expensive to be long-term properties. So otherwise they're just going to sit vacant, and it's the pool that we manage is so outside the range of affordable long-term housing, and we have 350 under long-term management.
But I don't think there's any confusion, though. As CD2 is currently written, you cannot rent out a TV or bed and breakfast for less than 30 days. You have to rent it out for the entire 30 days, as CD2 is currently written. But, I mean, as a policy, I think that's something that we can discuss as a group later. But I just wanted to clarify, I don't think there's any misunderstanding what CD2 does.
Right.
You cannot do what you're doing.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that's what I wanted clarity on. Thank you so much.